if I told you that I met a person online who became my best friend without even knowing what they look like? But the day we decided to finally meet up with each other in real life, they wanted to meet at a cemetery. Even though I thought it was kind of weird, I agreed to meet them there. But when I actually arrived at this place, I realized this person was lying about their true identity the whole time. Let me set the scene for you. It's the year 2020 and I'm in the loneliest phase of my life. I was in online school because of the pandemic, so my days literally just consisted of logging online for school and then doing nothing for the rest of my day. My parents would always ask why I wasn't hanging out with friends anymore, and I would always just make an excuse saying that they were busy or something. But in reality, since I wasn't going to school in person anymore, I lost most of my friends. And since I had so much free time where I wasn't doing anything, I really got into video games. And that's when I discovered this horror game called Dead by Daylight. And this is where the story really begins. Because if you've never played this game before, basically how it works is one person plays as the killer and the other four are trying to survive and escape. It's terrifying and addictive at the same time. So I'm just playing this game one night and I get matched with this person that was super funny. There's no voice chat, so I couldn't actually hear them speak, but just the way they were playing was comedy. We ended up winning the round super quickly and they sent me a friend request after so we could keep playing together. Their username was Banned from Walmart. Never asked what that meant, by the way. But anyways, we started playing together every single day. And after a couple weeks, he asked if I wanted to start talking to him over Discord while we were playing. I said yeah, and just like that, a new friendship was made. The first time we spoke over Discord, I was nervous because I had no idea what he was gonna sound like. I joined his voice chat, and sure enough, he sounded around my age. Although, there was always just something a little bit different sounding about his voice, and you'll understand why later. But either way, we got along really well. At first, it was just the game we'd talk about, but eventually, we started talking about everything. School drama, family problems, our dreams, stuff that you usually only share with your best friends. And this pretty much became our daily routine. I'd finish my online school, immediately hop online, and then we would just play video games for hours. Sometimes we'd even just sit in voice chat talking with each other without playing a game. Banned from Walmart became the person I looked forward to talking to every single day. Matter of fact, they were pretty much the only person outside of my family that I was talking to at all. And I know what everyone's thinking hearing this. Tyler, you need to touch grass, buddy. You're totally right. I did need to. But guess what? I never did. And guess what else? I still don't. The craziest thing about our friendship was that they knew me better than almost anyone else in my life, even though I'd never met them before. Matter of fact, I didn't even know what they looked like. And trust me, that would come back to bite me later. So we've been gaming together for probably 6 or 7 months at this point when I realized I knew everything about this person except for one detail. I knew their favorite foods, I knew their biggest fears, I knew their family drama, I even knew their class schedule. But the one thing I didn't know is where they lived. So one night, we're just chilling in a voice chat and I go, "Hey, Banned from Walmart, where do you actually live?" They pause for a second and then go, "Oh, I live in Los Angeles." When they said that, I literally dropped my controller. I'm sitting there staring at my screen going, "Wait, what did you just say?" "Los Angeles. Why?" "Dude, I live in Los Angeles too. What part?" They ended up saying an area that was about 20 miles away from me. So I'm completely losing my mind at this point because for some reason, I always just imagined that they live somewhere insanely far away, like the Philippines or something. But in reality, we were literally in the same city. What are the odds? When we found out how close we lived to each other, I said, "Dude, we totally have to meet up." Banned from Walmart sounded a little bit sketched out at first, but then they reluctantly agreed. But this is where things get weird because I told him that he could choose where we meet. And you know what he said? He said, "Let's meet at my local cemetery." Now, the reason they told me they wanted to meet at a cemetery was because we met each other playing a horror game, so it just made sense. And guys, please don't get mad at me because I know what everyone's thinking. If someone you've never even seen before wanted to meet at a cemetery for the very first time, you'd have to be stupid to agree to that, right? Right? Well, for some reason, I didn't think that way at the time. My brain immediately started rationalizing this obviously terrible idea. Wait, that actually makes perfect sense. We're both into horror games, so of course we should meet at a spooky place like that. Wow, even when I think about it now, I cannot believe how stupid I was. Actually, yes I can, because you guys say I barely have any brain cells now, so just imagine how many I had back then. Probably like 6 or 7. So I agreed to meet them at the cemetery they mentioned. I knew everything about this person, so I was sure there was nothing to fear. But then they hit me with red flag number 2 because they said, "Let's meet at like 8 p.m. when it's dark. That way, it'll be more spooky." So just to make sure you guys understand the scenario, we were meeting for the very first time in a cemetery in the dark. I deserve all the comments you guys say about me because as they're talking about this, I'm just going, oh yeah, I totally get why they want to meet in a cemetery. This is going to be awesome. In reality, I had no idea the actual reason they wanted to meet in a cemetery was for a very specific reason. You guys gotta cut me some slack though. This person was basically my best friend, so I would have agreed to meet them anywhere. They could have suggested meeting at Diddy's house, and I still probably would have been like, sounds perfect, I'm in. So it was official. We were gonna meet at a cemetery. Now there was only one problem with all this. Well, actually there was a lot of problems, but only one I was aware of at the time. And the problem was, I didn't have a license, and there was no chance my parents would take me to meet up with a random stranger. I couldn't exactly just go up to my parents and say, hey, can you take me across town to meet my internet friend at a cemetery after dark? What? No. Oh, why not? Because what if this person's dangerous? And why do they want to meet you in a cemetery? They're not dangerous. Trust me, we're best friends. Well, what's their real name then? I don't actually know. How old are they? I mean, I could give you a range, but I'm not exactly sure. What do they look like? They look like, actually, I don't know that either. So because getting a ride from my parents to the cemetery that night wasn't an option, I told them that I was going to hang out with one of my friends from school. Mom, I'm going to Cade's house tonight. Oh, that's great. I love Cade. We can drive you over. Oh, no, that's okay. I actually just want to bike there. Since when do you voluntarily choose to exercise? Good point, Mom. The answer is never, but I still said, well, you're the one who said I need to get outside more, so that's exactly what I'm trying to do. Okay. Fair enough. Step one was complete. My cover story was working. My parents did seem a little suspicious of what I was saying because, one, I always act super awkward when I'm lying, so they probably could pick that up. And two, it was really hard for them to believe I would actually want to bike there instead of getting a free ride. But I think my mom was just happy that I was going to go hang out with someone instead of staying inside my room the whole night again. So she didn't care what the details were. I could have told her I was going to twerk all the way to Kate's house, and she still probably would have let me go. So I grabbed my bike from the garage, texted Ben from Walmart that I was getting ready to leave, and they told me that they were about to leave too. I should have never left my house that night though, and especially not to meet someone I didn't really know at a cemetery. Quick thing before we go any further, and yes, I did just randomly get a haircut in between clips, but anyways, I've been doing this new side mission lately anytime I'm waiting around in the drive-thru, waiting for a doctor's appointment, or when my friends show up 20 minutes late as usual. It's called Free Cash, today's sponsor. And it basically turns your phone into a rewards machine. You play games, try out apps, do quick tasks, and you earn real rewards for it. There's over 5,000 offers available, and you can cash out instantly into PayPal, crypto, or gift cards. And just so you know, it's legit. Free Cash has a 4.8 star rating on Trustpilot with 250,000 reviews. Now, I'm a huge Monopoly fan, so when I saw that they had an offer on Free Cash to play Monopoly Go, I instantly did it. I was having so much fun that I almost forgot the reason I downloaded it in the first place was for the free cash opportunity. After trying it out, here's me cashing out. Literally just a few taps and then done. If you want to join my side mission, use the link at the top of the description or scan this QR code right here. Now back to the video. So I put the address in my phone and see that this cemetery closes at 7 p.m., meaning we were gonna have to trespass just to even get on the property. There were more and more red flags popping up that I just ignored at the time. As I'm on my way there, I realize my mom is right. I don't ever voluntarily exercise, and there's a reason why. Because apparently, biking 10 miles is a lot more tiring than I thought. And before you say it's not that far, I was on an incline, okay? Was it like a 5-foot incline? Yes, but it's still an incline. As I'm about halfway there, I get a notification from Ben from Walmart saying they just left their house too, and they'll be there in about 5 minutes. I had to respond telling them I would probably arrive in 15 minutes or so because I underestimated how slow I was at riding a bike. They told me no worries because they like just chilling at cemeteries alone. Once again, another red flag. But anyways, that's what they were gonna do until I got there. So I pedal as fast as I can and end up getting to the cemetery around 8:30 p.m., meaning I was half an hour late. I didn't think it would be a big deal at first because they kept texting me that it was fine and that they were just chilling. But me being late would end up being crucial to what happened next. So I finally text them that I've arrived, exhausted, smelly, oiled up, and the cemetery is looking pretty spooky. It had a really old vibe to it with a lot of broken tombstones. But the biggest obstacle was a big metal gate at the entrance blocking off anyone from getting inside. So I pull out my phone and text my friend, "Yo, I'm here, how do I get inside?" I was so excited and anxious in this moment because I was about to meet the person who I considered my best friend. I'm staring at my phone waiting for a response, which would usually take just seconds from them. But for the first time pretty much ever, when I texted them, they didn't respond. The message showed up as delivered, but I didn't get an answer. I thought it was odd, but there could have been plenty of reasons for this. So I wait another minute and try again. "Hey, I'm at the front gate. Let me know where you're at." But still nothing. This was weird. They literally just told me that they were here waiting for me. I knew they were inside. So what could they have been doing to not respond to me? Maybe they just didn't hear their phone go off. So I decide to call them. Their phone rings twice, and then it goes to voicemail, which means they physically press decline on the call. That's when the first wave of confusion hits me. Why would they decline my call? They were waiting for me this whole time. They knew I was coming. It just doesn't make any sense. Were they mad because I got there late? I wasn't sure. So I decided to take matters into my own hands and find my own way inside. I figured if I got in the actual cemetery, it wouldn't be that hard to find them. After all, the place was closed, so they were probably the only person inside there, right? Right? Well, I start walking around the perimeter, looking for an entrance, while also calling out their username. "Man from Walmart, you hear me?" Did I feel slightly stupid yelling someone's username into a cemetery? Yes, but what else are you gonna do? So I'm walking, and then finally, I notice a section where the gate is broken. Perfect size for someone that's 6'5" like me to sneak under and get through. I also figured that's probably how my friend got inside too. The only unfortunate part was I couldn't fit my bike through it, so that had to stay on the outside. And trust me, that would come back to bite me later. I turn on my phone's flashlight because I didn't bring a real one since I didn't think it would be this dark, and I start walking in between the tombstones. And listen, I know I said I like horror games, and trust me, I do, but that doesn't mean that I'm not a scaredy cat. I don't play the horror games and react like this to a jump scare. Whoa, cool. What was that? So I'm trying to find my friend, ready to pee my pants now because I was scared to be in a dark cemetery alone. And I'm saying his name out loud, almost shouting it. This place is literally silent except for the sound of my voice and my feet hitting the ground. I'm walking deeper into the cemetery, checking behind larger tombstones and mausoleums, thinking that maybe they're just hiding as some kind of joke, trying to play a prank on me. After all, they did want our first introduction to be at a cemetery, so who knows if they thought it would have been funny to pull some terrifying practical joke. I walk around for 5 minutes or so, and then finally, I see a flashlight beam in the distance, maybe 50 yards away. I felt so relieved because I was thinking, this has to be them. So I start jogging over toward the light, saying out loud, "Hey, man from Walmart, it's me, LeBron's lover." Don't ask how I came up with that username, by the way. But their reaction when I went over to them was super weird. Instead of recognizing my voice and saying something to me, they started running in the opposite direction, like sprinting as fast as they could. So I just start saying out loud, "Why are you running? Why are you running?" They run until they get to the front gate, realizing that there's nowhere else to go and they're just gonna have to confront me. I catch up to them, completely out of breath, and shine my flashlight toward their face. It's a man. So I say to him, "Man from Walmart, what is going on with you, dude?" But he gives me a confused look and goes, "What are you talking about?" So I say, "I was just trying to catch up to you. Why'd you run away?" Then he goes, "Because I have no idea who you are, and I saw a random person chasing me in the dark at a cemetery. What did you expect me to do?" So then I'm like, "You're not banned from Walmart, are you?" And he goes, "What the does that even mean?" And that's when I realized this dude that I just chased around a dark cemetery is not my friend. So I tell him, "My bad, dude. I'm so sorry. I thought you were someone else. Have you seen anyone else around here? Like, someone my age?" He shakes his head and goes, "No, just you." Wait, so you're telling me there's more people like you out here?" No, I'm sorry, there's not. I'm lying. I'll leave you alone." And then we went our separate ways. So I'm left standing alone once again among the tombstones. But now, realizing that my friend is definitely not here. I tried calling him one more time, but once again, after a couple rings, it went to voicemail. It's about 9:15 p.m. now, and I have to face the reality. Something here is seriously wrong. My friend, who keep in mind, literally told me they were there waiting for me, is nowhere to be seen. I'm scared, tired, cold, and just accept that it's probably best if I just go back home. But to make things even worse, guess what happens when I try leaving the cemetery? I see that my bike was gone. I don't know if it was the dude from the cemetery getting revenge for me chasing him like a maniac, or the fact that we were just in a sketchy part of LA. It probably was that. But either way, it was gone. Or maybe it was banned from Walmart who took it. Regardless, I needed to get home some way, and I couldn't tell my parents I needed a ride because of what I said to them before I left. So I had to go through my contacts list looking for any of my friends who drove. I was calling all of them. And remember, I hadn't talked to most of these people in a while, but luckily, one of my boys, Nico, shout out to you by the way, hope you're doing well, but he picked up my call and came to pick me up. So I get home around 10 p.m., exhausted and furious. I go straight to bed thinking that I'm gonna figure out the rest of this situation in the morning. The next day, I wake up and the first thing that's on my mind is banned from Walmart. I'm still trying to justify it in my head though. Maybe there was some kind of emergency. Maybe their phone died. There had to be a reasonable explanation for why all of a sudden they completely disappeared. I checked my phone again and still No responses from them from the night before. So I boot up my computer, log on to the game, and sure enough, guess who's online? Banned from Walmart. I immediately joined their game and hop straight into voice chat. Yo, dude, you want to explain to me what happened last night? There's a pause for a second when they realize I joined their party, and then they go, oh, hey, sorry about that. Something happened last night and I couldn't make it. Something happened? That's it? What do you mean something happened? You told me you were already there waiting for me. I biked 10 miles to that cemetery and even lost my dang bike in the process. And then he's just like, yeah, sorry, family emergency. I just had to leave right before you got there. Now I understand a family emergency, but why was he acting so weird now? And also, why did he never respond to my calls or texts from last night? He just goes, oh yeah, sorry, my phone died. I should have just found a way to tell you. But you know what? I knew he was lying about his phone dying because like I said, his phone rang twice and then it went straight to voicemail, meaning he physically declined the call. I'm getting really frustrated now because the person who used to tell me everything about their day was now being super vague with me. They were literally acting like we've never talked before. So I say to them, okay, well, do you want to reschedule to meet on another day? Maybe at an easier location? Yeah, maybe. I'm pretty busy with the school stuff right now. Another weird answer. And then, without saying anything else, he just logs off the game. So now I'm pretty mad, and I know something fishy is going on here. So I hit up one of my other friends that I played video games with. Unfortunately, I can't repeat his username because it's not appropriate. But I told him the whole story about banned from Walmart. The months of gaming together, finding out we lived in the same city, attempting to meet up. This other friend listens to everything and then says, bro, this weirdo has definitely been lying to you about literally everything. So then I'm like, well, what do you mean? Think about this logically, right? You met someone over video games, and over a couple months, you became really good friends. Yep. And over these few months, you never found out their actual name or what they looked like? No. Right. And then somehow, they tell you they live only 20 minutes away from you when they literally could have lived anywhere else in the whole world. What are the odds of that? They're clearly lying. I start thinking about it from an outside perspective, and I realize they might be right. Because there was always an excuse when I tried asking banned from Walmart about their actual identity. So then my other friend tells me, dude, you got catfished. No way. They might be lying about something, but we've been talking for months. You can't fake a friendship for that long. Bro, it's the internet. I could fake being married to Madison Beer if I wanted to. Then he tells me he could find banned from Walmart's real identity if I wanted him to. So I'm like, what? How? And he says, don't worry. Just give me a few minutes. I give him the username of who I'm looking for. He goes silent for a couple minutes and then logs back on. And I could tell by his voice that he found something big. Dude, you ready to hear this? Just tell me what you found. Your friend, banned from Walmart, does not live in Los Angeles. Matter of fact, they don't even live in the United States. They're from Canada. I'm sitting there thinking that they're just trying to mess with me still. What do you mean Canada? I traced their IP address from their gaming profile. They live in Toronto. My jaw drops and I almost wanted to cry because I'm just thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I was friends with a Canadian? I'm just kidding. I love Canadian people. Okay, I love maple syrup. Leaves. What else do you guys have? But anyways, my brain is trying to process this information, but it's just not computing. That's impossible. They told me they lived here and they knew about local places by where I lived. LeBron's lover. Listen, anyone can Google that stuff. You can look up any city and find out about local landmarks. It doesn't mean you actually live there, but if it actually was true that they lived in Canada, I had so many things to question now. What was banned from Walmart's angle? Were they trying to trick me from the start? Were we ever actually friends? Why does it benefit them to do this? I was so confused about this, and I knew there was only one way I was gonna get my answers. Confront banned from Walmart. So I wait until the next time I see that he's online, and I jump into his game and go into voice chat. Yo, we need to talk. Oh, hey, what's up? I know you lied to me. You don't live in Los Angeles. You live in Canada. There's about a 5-second pause, and then, without saying a word, they go offline. Just completely disconnect from the game. So I check the next day to see if they're online, but guess what? They blocked me. Completely blocked from everything. Their gaming profile, their phone number, it's like they vanished from the internet entirely, at least as far as I was concerned. I'm sitting there staring at my screen realizing, oh my gosh, my friend was right. They did lie about everything. But still, Why would they do this? What do they gain from lying and tricking me to go to the cemetery when they knew they weren't going to be there? Well, I'd get my answer pretty quickly when I told the person who found Banned from Walmart's information that I got blocked. Because when I told him this, he said, yeah, I'm not surprised they did that because I did some more digging and guess what else I found? What? I found out they have a criminal record. And two things. Number one, they are not your age. They're not in school. They're 27 years old. And second of all, they have a criminal record for committing internet fraud, meaning they would scam people online to get money from them. After my friend explained this, it all made sense. Banned from Walmart was never really my friend. They were just trying to get close enough to me to eventually scam me. And they hit a roadblock when I said, hey, we should meet up in person because obviously they couldn't actually do that. Luckily, I found out this was a scam before we got any closer. But if I didn't find this out, I just know that I would have had to resort to doing live streams pretending to be an NPC begging for gifts. Thank you for the rose.